Is Astro Bot worth buying? That's a question I wanted to ask today very briefly, and I do plan to make a full review in the future of this game. I do plan to go in depth and talk more about it, but today it's just kind of a brief look. I've played the game for multiple hours, and I wanted to answer this question. Now, whenever we talk about this, it's going to be different for everybody. Obviously, I know that. So to some people, they're going to say, well, who are you to tell me what's worth buying? I get it. I know. But we're going to talk about the merits of the game, any negatives I've seen so far, and whether or not I think it's worth your money, because this game is about $60 US. A little cheaper than a full-on AAA game, that's usually about $70, but it is still a $60 drop. Compared to Astro's Playroom, this is kind of like a soft sequel to that game, which was free and packaged in with the PlayStation 5 originally. If you enjoyed today's video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I appreciate you very much. I do have a question of the day for you, which is, are you planning on or are you interested in buying this game, and do you like it? Or what other PlayStation games are you interested in this year? Let me know, because this is a game that I think is very much targeted towards fans of PlayStation, but there is a big caveat there. I believe this game is such a good platformer that it is enjoyable by anyone. Whether you're a new, PlayStation user, you could have switched to PlayStation last month, or you could have gotten a PlayStation for the first time last month. Maybe you're a big Xbox fan, maybe you're a big PC gamer, maybe you're a big Nintendo fan, whatever. To me, this doesn't feel like Super Smash Bros, where a huge majority of the appeal is the characters, is that stuff. That is an appeal here, and obviously Smash Bros is a good fighting game on its own. I'm not trying to argue that. But what I'm saying is it's very, very much in that vein, a celebration game where it's you are getting all of your favorite Nintendo characters facing off against each other. This game is very much a love letter in a lot of ways to PlayStation and a lot of their games that they don't even make anymore, unfortunately. Which is sad, because I recently saw a big comment that I wanted to make a video on, I haven't really gotten to, about PlayStation thinking they don't have enough IP, or I should say Sony in general. But this game kind of goes back, and Team Asobi, who made this game, they go back and kind of show you how many different IP, how many different characters have been tied to the history of PlayStation that are very, very fascinating, fun, and that you can encounter and have an interesting time with. This is something that Astro's Playroom did a great job with as well. It kind of went back and it made different worlds based off of the PlayStation architecture and different pieces and stuff. You would collect artifacts, which were maybe even the PlayStation Eye toy or random accessories, a DualShock 2, a PS2. Those are fun things where it was kind of saying hey, remember the history of this technology? Well, now you're on the PS5. This game, Astro Bot, I think is less reliant on that nostalgia trip, which was honestly super fun for me in Playroom too, because I've had a PlayStation really since the beginning and an Xbox. But this game, I think it does a really good job of also being a really tight, fun platformer that actually has a lot of unique and interesting mechanics that Playroom didn't have, and that I didn't expect this game to have. You go through different worlds throughout the galaxy, and you actually kind of can go to different galaxies as well, and you are trying to collect and save different bots, different friends of your character who have been scattered throughout the galaxy. In some ways, this reminded me of a game like Super Mario Galaxy, where you're kind of going around to these different planets. They're all a little bit different, you're doing different things on each, but they all have a similar core, I would say, uniting theme through Mario himself and towards your end goal. That's very much the way Astro Bot is. If you enjoyed a game like that, like Mario Galaxy 2, anything like that, I think that this is kind of PlayStation's answer to that. And I did want to say as well, I actually think that this is kind of PlayStation's answer to Mario in a way. And now, I'm not going to argue that Astro Bot is as iconic as Mario. He's had a few game outings. He had a PSVR outing, he had a packaged in outing with the PS5, and now he's had this. And I think he's kind of slowly becoming a mascot for PlayStation, which I love. I think he's cute, adorable, fun, and charming. And I do think that this game does a great job of expressing those things. Characters are not talking, but what they do is the old Lego style charming way of in the original Lego games, where they would make expressions or kind of grunts and noises and things. They would kind of point you to the context of what they're saying. This game does that with Astro. And so in a way, it's not like Nathan Drake being a mascot, where you have this deep narrative, in-depth character. It's a fun mascot. It's kind of like the Marios. It's kind of like Crashes or the Spyros. You know, it's not that there's not a story there, but it's like that they're a little bit more fun, you know, a little bit more lighthearted and not like a super serious cinematic outing of a game. And that's another thing I did want to mention here too. This game really goes to show you that you can make, in the modern day, a tight platformer or just a tight, smaller game, because I believe the estimation on this game is like 8 to 13 hours, depending on if you're really taking your time, finding all these Easter eggs, going after all these little pieces and stuff. Well, you can take your time and make a super replayable game that has a lot of depth, uses the technology that it's on to its fullest, and is not like almost a movie type based game, you know, where we've kind of gone in recent years with the Insomniac Spider-Mans, the Nathan Drakes of the world, The Last of Us is, you know, where we've kind of gone in this direction where I think a lot of companies think that the only thing people want to play or buy is these huge budget cinematic games. There's nothing wrong with those types of games either. I think a lot of times they're fantastic, but I think Astro kind of goes back to basics, like games like Crash, Spyro, Mario, Banjo and Kazooie, and it kind of shows you that these games still work today if you're willing to put heart, soul, and love into them. Now, if you are a fan of any of these PlayStation brands and IPs, it's both bittersweet. It really is a bittersweet experience. I think that's the best way to describe it, because when you come across things like Crash Bandicoot, and you say, whoa, that's fun, you know, he used to be a big PlayStation guy, but they kind of let him go by the wayside. They didn't really throw any money at Activision to make anything, and now Activision is owned by Microsoft. Oh, that's interesting. Or you'll kind of come across, the hunter from Bloodborne, and you'll be like, oh, well, they don't really seem to do anything with Bloodborne anymore, but this is fun. You know, or any of these characters, Jak and Daxter especially to me is a huge one that I've like wanted to see more of. Sly Cooper is a huge one I want to see more of. You know, you come across these characters and these things, and it really makes you kind of be like, wow, Team Asobi very clearly values the history of PlayStation. They value these characters. They kind of did a love letter to them in a way. And in that way, if you are a fan of any of those characters, I think it's totally worth buying. You know, you're going through, you're finding PlayStation related characters, themes, different stuff like that. Super fun in the same way that you'd see it in a game like Smash Bros. Or even a game that they tried like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which I still think needs a reworked sequel. I'd love to see that. You know, it's one of those celebration type things where it goes back and says, hey, we remember this stuff. You know, the people who made this game care about it. Whether the rights holders do or not above them is another question. And we wanted to throw you a bone and be like, hey, you know, we had fun with this too. Here's something fun. And when you're actually collecting these characters and doing things, I think it plays into the overall world even better than Astro's Playroom did it, where you're actually finding these characters, you're finding accessories or things for them in the gotcha machine. A lot of people cringe when they hear that word, but you don't have to spend any money or anything. You just collect coins in game and then you use it on this little claw machine type gotcha thing where you get accessories for the characters that you found. And then those characters are off on the beach hanging out, doing stuff. You can interact with them. They have their own little animations and everything. It's very charming, and charming is a word that came up so much for me when playing around on Astro Bot. From things like the physical case of the game, referencing all these different brands and characters in real life, all the way down to the attention to detail of flying around in a PS5 as their spaceship in the opening, using a DualSense controller as your ship, you know, being able to go around and interact with all these characters. Like, it is very much a, hey, we like PlayStation game. But also, I think if you're a new PlayStation fan, this does not have to be some dumb console wars BS. It doesn't have to be that at all. It's also very much a fun platformer that I think does an amazing job sticking the landing on every part I've been through. And if I had one criticism of the game, because I don't have many of them, it's just that I wish with all of the characters you found and unlocked that there were more outfits for Astro himself. I think that there's about 20, I think, and I believe 2 of them were digital deluxe, which if you bought the physical, you could buy a digital deluxe upgrade. I actually did that because I really love physical gaming and I wanted to support this game anyway, so I threw him $10 there on the PlayStation Store because I would love to see more outings of Astro. This is a game that focuses on being a game and focuses on just being fun. I also think that it does bring up an age-old question, which I'll probably get into more in my full review later on. Is it good for there to be exclusive games? because this is a game that if it wasn't on the PS5, I don't think it would take full advantage of really anything else. It really is taking advantage of that DualSense controller. That's not me saying it's better than the Xbox controller or better than mouse and keyboard, but it's different technology, and it's very clearly made for that tech specifically. And it kind of goes to show you why multi-platform games don't take full advantage of the tech they're on, because they have to work on everything, right? So they're not going to take a bunch of time to dedicate to the gimmick of every single console. But with PlayStation, this is just a PS5 game, and so it really goes in on being a game that plays off of the gimmicks of the controller, plays off the quirks of the console, the quirks of the history, and I think that that's really fun. So in conclusion, for me, as of right now, where I'm at partway through the game, and I'll do a full review in the future, I think it's definitely worth buying. I think it's such a charming and fun game. Tight platformer, amazing worlds, beautiful colors. I love the history. I love the characters that they harken back to. And I love Astro Bot himself. I think he's probably one of the best attempts at a mascot for, you know, these companies that I've seen in a very long time. And I really hope he sticks around and kind of nails that landing and stays as that. Now, speaking of worth buying, if you enjoyed this video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think. We do have a Fortnite code, which is DJAY123 if you want to support this channel. We also do have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop, where we sell coasters, keychains, trays, and more. All kinds of really awesome stuff out of repurposed comic book paper. We don't print images. We don't go and steal images, nothing like that. What we do is we collect comics, manga, graphic novels, magazines. These things are damaged. They're not able to be sold by stores, so they're either sold at a super deep discount, or they're just given to us for free. And what we do is we prevent those from going in landfills by making something new for your home and transformative with the art, and then we recycle the rest. So awesome thing right there. If you want to check it out, CosmoBunny.shop. You can use code DJAY123 for 10% off your first purchase. I hope you have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is there anything you want me to address in a full review in the future? And as always, everyone, stay shui.